Welcome to the Occult Rejects. In this episode today, I am very lucky to have I got Megan, 7 Degrees of Wisdom. I know you all know her from the Tarot series that should be out before this comes out. So I would assume that you are familiar with her again, or familiar with her by now. And I have her on again, co-hosting with me tonight. So thank you very much, Megan. I appreciate that. Do you want to just plug your Instagram real quick before we get on to the guest?
Yeah, so my main is I have Facebook and Instagram. So on Instagram, it's the number 7 degrees of wisdom, no underscores, no dashes, no numbers at the end, anything like that. There's some accounts out there that are impersonating me. So just remember no underscores, dashes, or numbers at the end. Just 7 degrees of wisdom at Instagram. And then you can find me on Facebook at Megan Allen and then 7 degrees of wisdom spelled out on Facebook. So I am a professional tarot reader, practicing occultist, paranormal investigator. I do a number of classes, and I read at two local shops where I'm at. So if you guys are interested, everything that I do in person, I can do online. So if you're interested, just get a hold of me on one of those platforms, and we'll get you scheduled.
Awesome. Yes, and your stuff will be in the bottom as well. And tonight, we got Evan, aka King Cthulhu. I came across him from 7 Degrees of Wisdom. I assume by now people know that I am very much in love with Gematria. I don't think I'm very good at it. Very simple, basic stuff I can do, but the shit interests me, and there's like a code to the Matrix or some shit out there. And every once in a while, I do like to get another person on who's into that stuff and just get mind blown with numbers. And tonight we have Evan. Evan, what's going on, man? Would you like to say what's up and let everybody know where they can find you on Instagram?
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
So, if you want to find me, I'm on Instagram at King Cthulhu, King underscore Cthulhu, spelt with a K. And you can also find me on Facebook, Evan Hunt.
Oh, okay.
And I also have a podcast, Sped Air. You can find that on Spotify.
Awesome. I'll get the other links from you after the show for the podcast and Facebook, and I'll throw it into
Okay,
the live after the fact. I put your Instagram in there already now. So
awesome.
yes, and yeah, I guess first question: what got you into gematria and even messing with numbers? I mean, like me and Megan were even saying before, not for nothing, but you looked like a young dude. So it's like you must have gotten, it's not like I've started practicing magic, like, whatever, how long ago, and then realized how important numbers were, like in my 30s. I didn't give a flying fuck about it when I was younger. So
Yeah.
it's just interesting to see someone now doing that.
Yeah, I've always been a numbers guy. Like, I mean, I was good at math as a kid, not like crazy, but um, I don't know. My love of sacred geometry sort of started when I was like probably 18. I think it was probably all the weed and psychedelics.
That'll do it.
um, let's see. Yeah, like I just started noticing like peculiar numbers like 432, the 33, other stuff. Yeah, they kept coming up, and like the angel number thing. I have this number 1122. That's like my guide number. It's my higher self signal. That's what I call it.
Was that you over on Kings Road?
What?
You know, oh, maybe you don't even know about it. Brian, did you hear about the Idaho 4 Brian Kohlberger case?
Oh, right. The house number
It's
1122. Yeah, I
1122.
posted about that actually when it happened. It's
Hmm.
weird. It's weird. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
you
started
find
seeing
out.
1122 everywhere. It was like popping up left, right, and center. I'm looking on the clock. It's not just the clock, but you know how these synchronicities work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I don't know. This was like in 2019 or so. Eventually, I'm like, okay, I'm getting into numerology, and then I discovered gematria, and then I start getting really into it, and I'm making like a database of everything, just filling notebooks, just looking at all these correspondences, and like I'm reading into the occult at this point, and I don't know. It's like I'm mapping out this holographic alphanumeric matrix in my head, and it's like,
When when you started thinking like there was something up with like numbers and like or patterns and stuff like what you were just saying before, like, and then you said it led you into like all of a sudden, like you were kind of like looking into the occult. Did you assume that this might have been something that was like occult in nature, or did it somehow like did you just find yourself like, you know what I'm getting at? Like, did you already assume like this might already have occultism mixed into it?
I think, yeah, like it started before I even really opened myself up spiritually. I was more like into science at that point, I guess. But like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I
Yeah,
just
that
started
might be a
reading.
tough question.
I don't really know, but yeah, like I just started reading about occultism around like age 18, 19, 20. That's when I started waking up, I guess. And
Okay,
another
no,
thing,
just because I would assume like if like again like if you're thinking magic and I mean codes and numbers and stuff, I would assume eventually like going down a rabbit hole, you'd probably come across gematria, Pythagoras,
mhm.
Sigils. You might end up coming across that stuff trying to like fuck around with numbers and shit.
Yeah. Like for me, it sort of started with the numbers, yeah, and like the sacred geometry, and then that sort of, I don't know, I got into Kabbalah, I guess. Like I'm learning about it. I'm not like well versed, but
Oh, honestly, if you're really good with numbers, if you probably start to understand the Kabbalah somewhat, well, I guess there isn't. I mean, somewhat okay, still maybe like 5% of the Kabbalah. I mean, I don't think you can ever really know it well. But if you had a grasp on the Kabbalah and you're good with numbers, I think that might really open up a whole other world for you.
oh yeah.
I do.
Definitely.
I mean, that's even why it was one of the things I love about Megan with her tarot. Not too many people I know actually attribute it to. I mean, I guess now because of what I'm doing, I know a little bit more. But back in the day, most people I knew, even people that were in the OTO, did not attribute the tarot to the Tree of Life, and I was just like, "What? Like what?"
Yeah. Really?
But she does. So, and then I think that's adding it to the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life. I think adds a whole new, way to look at it.
It just adds a whole new dimension. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, for real, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you should
so
check out our tarot series, and if you're interested in like getting into tarot at all, because once you study the Kabbalah, you will end up with the tarot at some point. If not the tarot first and then the Kabbalah, one or the other, and it will help you understand that tree a little bit better when you
or
do
even,
that.
or even when you're playing around with your numbers, sometimes you
Mhm.
can even go look at a card and be like this number 9 card, and like maybe somehow that will
Right.
give you somewhat of an idea of what 9 could be when you're fucking around with it on numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The tarot series actually, for people that are catching the live now, that's actually going to drop this week. It was going to drop a little bit later. I wanted to do my occult symbolism in the head series first, but I was not able to finish it, and I really didn't want to break up the series. So, the tarot, Megan, our tarot series will be dropping this Wednesday. The first 2 parts will
Cool.
drop this week and next week. So,
Awesome.
what that we did with Mario from Symbolic Studies. It's definitely a badass series, so people check that out. And enough about that. Back to you, Evan. All right. So, like, you basically, I just wanted to know, kind of like, so you started thinking there was something up with like, numbers and shit, and eventually you got into Gematria.
Mhm.
What kind of what site or what ciphers is it that you also use or that you tend to?
Mainly, I use a site called Gematrix, like
Yes.
Gematria Matrix. It's got a huge ass database, and it uses 3 different ciphers. It's like a Jewish or Latin cipher, which is basically like Hebrew gematria, but with the English alphabet. And then I use that site has the English ordinal or simple English, and then the Sumerian, which is just English ordinal but base 6, so multiply everything by 6, and you get really good number like synchronicities, lots of like 666, 369, 888, triple numbers. Yeah,
Yeah, we got a lot of.
that's where I get the 1122s flowing. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So different ciphers like sort of have different purposes. Like I'm not deep into using all kinds of different. So I like to keep it simple mainly, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I've had like even when I had TJ on, I think he uses a fuck ton of them.
he uses
I
a
mean,
lot.
it's very, I mean, it's very interesting, but it does like it does start to get like overwhelming for someone who doesn't understand it. Just, even for me, there's been times when I was like, I mean, I see the numbers matching up, and it's like I'm lost already because there's too many different ciphers that you're just trying to show me. But yeah, I just wanted to get an idea. I was hoping because like there are some people I've come across that can mess with these like internet calculators and not actually even really be touching Hebrew at all. Actually, you're just running different ciphers on different type of things, and I was kind of hoping maybe like covered all of them. So that's what's up. Yeah, and you know what? Haven't and you said it was Gematrix, correct?
That's the one I use a lot, and then I use Gematrinator.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's the one with
Gematrinator is the
all
one
the
that with the
different
Sumerians.
ciphers.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I was thinking before, but Gematrix, people knock it, and I have knocked that site myself. But the reason why I've ever knocked it is normally because I think of user. The user will not understand what really, like the best. They won't know how to read it that well. And what I'm getting at is like on that site, the one thing that I do think is what kind of sucks, which is what I think people like discredit it for. I could type in anything to go check for the numerical value, and it's going to kind of like save that. So now, if you have like a million people type in some stupid Q-tard shit or Donald Trump saves America, that's going to pop up when you run shit now just because of people looking for it to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like
you find all these schizo messages just spamming.
Yeah, it's like almost you're like getting spammed with dumb shit. People that didn't know what the fuck they were doing were actually searching for numerically on that site.
Yeah.
And I think that throws people off because I noticed even when QAnon started getting big, you could have ran anything through Gematrix and somehow Trump was popping up in there.
Yeah.
Because it was like so many phrases of Trump had been used on there. It's just like it's getting thrown in.
Trump, coronavirus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was just like, oh, come on. But I do think it is actually a really good site if you do understand like Gematria to a point, and like, I think you could even let people know. There's times where it's like if it starts hitting like 2 or 3 like different ciphers, yeah, that to me that's kind of like showing me something. Like sometimes people will run. Yeah, they'll run with like one like the simple Gematria. Oh, look, the equals whatever, and they'll run with that, but not like I don't know. It's hard to explain it. It's just I do think sometimes a little bit silly stuff does get entertained, but there is like I do think that when you start seeing different ciphers start like matching up, doesn't have to be the same numbers. The value is just that when you see the values both pointing towards the same direction or almost the same thing, you have to really start thinking like, okay, there's something maybe here.
Eventually, the patterns emerge and they're undeniable.
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to add before we actually got into your presentation?
I don't know.
All right. Well, if
we'll
you
see.
want,
if anything's important, it'll come up.
There you go. I like it. Here we go. I'll add I'm going to pull up your slideshow, and I think you can control it from your end as well.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Testing. Yep. Okay. So yeah, I wanted to start with a little wordplay because, I mentioned I don't use a lot of ciphers. I mainly just work with English ordinal, actually, simple English, because I think the English alphabet is the English language is like the language of the angels, right? And I think it's like some sort of like Masonic construction. It's like a lot, like I don't know, when did it start? The English language goes back hundreds and hundreds of years, but ever since like Shakespeare and Francis Bacon, it's been like this sort of project to sculpt the way we see reality using language, right? It's this universal language that, I don't know, as a combination of a bunch of other languages too, I find it has all these different overlaps and dimensions to it. And I don't know, it's just so rich. And I don't know, a lot of people will shit on me because they're like, Gematria is Hebrew. I don't know, like Greek, Hebrew. I don't know. What about English, right?
No. I don't discredit that either.
Well, English came from Latin, so that's why there's some similar words there that you can pick out. So if Latin was one of the original ones, right, ciphers that they used. Why
Right,
would it
right.
make ours any different?
And I think, like, the story of the Tower of Babel, how they say mankind was united under one language and they built this stairway to heaven. And it's like man's technological dominance over nature. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's like this Atlantean utopia, but I think we're here now with us being united under this common language. And it's like one step away from telepathy, I guess, too.
Hmm.
But that's not the point of this. Let's go into some word magic. I am Maya. Well, our sense of I am is what generates Maya, the illusion of separateness, right? So it's like implicit in the word here, right? And then you rearrange that into aim. So throughout our life, we build our focus up. We figure out our aim that helps us find our true will. Then you can see beyond the illusion and rise above it, I guess. Transcend. I am that I am. Atom. Atum. Adam. Atman. Aten. So like Aten, existence is this oneness divided into 10. The 10 or the 9 numbers and the 0, right? Atone. Well, God God spoke the reality into existence. It's all a vibration. Alm.
I think I could be wrong, but I even think that like the first letter in the Torah it might be Peh. I could be wrong. There's something where like the first letter in some kind of
Mm,
Jewish thing. And that if you look at that, Heh, they consider like the mouth and a tongue.
mm.
And it's
Is
like,
that
the first
is that
letter
is
of the
that pi
religious
too?
book even insist spoken. I was like, oh, that's deep.
That's cool. That's cool. But yeah, the AT as well. Well, A and T is in Hebrew that would be Aleph and Tav or Tau, whatever. Um, that's beginning and end, Alpha and Omega. And then I think the is just like the attachment, like the Greeks extended it to Omega. So T is no longer the last letter; it's Omega. So Atom, the is like the medium, the plane of vibration. So this enunciation
I think there's a difference between
resonates out
and O's.
into the unit. That's the
Sure.
cosmic reverberation, I guess. I don't really know.
No,
I'm
I
so
do believe that there is something and I've said it on the show plenty of times, and I've used David Bowie and Pink Floyd as examples,
mm,
especially David Bowie with that Dark Star, Black Star, whatever the fuck
Black
that's
Star.
said. Yeah, a lot of oohs and ahs on there, and Pink Floyd used to use a lot of oohs and ahs, and I had often wondered if that starts going back to like that or like the Yahweh Vate formula and just like making certain like I do actually believe it or not, do think oohs and ahs are used in music to create a
Mm,
certain feeling.
yeah.
I mean, even like silly as it sounds, that song "Oh It's Magic." I
Oh,
mean,
oh.
if you look, it sounds like they're saying "Ho ho ho, it's magic" or something like that. But if you look at the lyrics, it's O H. So I even
Mm,
think like they're even saying "Oh, like it's magic." Like as silly as it sounds, I think they're
the
actually
three O's.
or saying something about the
So
vibration itself.
yeah, yeah. Hmm. That made me think too that the three O's, that's the three rings of the Ein Sof, or
Oh,
the the unmanifested.
that would also be 1080, 360s,
Yeah. Oh.
which is like a dolphin brain.
Hmm. Hmm.
1080p. That's what we're streaming out as right now.
Cool. Cool. Okay, next slide. Let's see what we got here. So I was just riffing on this I am idea. The I am, that's our sense of self. And it equals 23 in English ordinal, which is the letter W. And what's a W? The W is the crown, and it's like a waveform, like a zigzag, electricity, water, whatever. So that's the energy in motion. And the crown, that's our crown chakra, that's our seat, our sense of self. The
The
I
focal
am,
point. Yeah.
the I am equals 56, which matches with Isis. So this is like, this is Maya, this is nature. It's the will itself that sort of it sustains reality, I guess. Yeah, it's our reason for being.
I see it interesting that you said that you have will equals 56 and then beehive as well. Beehive equals 56.
Yeah, and I was thinking beehive is like a good symbol for like Mother Earth and Gaia and this, like, the intelligence of nature, right? Like, so that's Isis. And well, basically, I was just riffing on this idea. The Sefer Yetzirah says, like, that's the foundational text of Kabbalah, and it says that God created the world with numbers, letters, and sounds. And like, like quantum physics is telling us that everything is just an interplay of light and sound, vibration, just fluctuating energy fields. It's all information. And
You know what's interesting is that I have come across 56 and 73 before when I have like run stuff for like true crime shit and just was like,
really,
yeah, and I've never like entertained it because like I really wasn't sure if it was like that's really interesting. Like I
it's
like
funny. This just came up while I was like, I don't know, I was just putting this together, and like, it just sort of came together because after I did this first part, and then after I was like, wait, the light and the sound, and the light equals 56 and sound equals 73, and I was like, oh shit, that's cool.
and like a lot of the ones that I do, and this is just I guess my opinion of the way I kind of explain certain numbers and stuff when it comes to the Kabbalah, and I start looking at it like that in Gematria with Hebrew numbers, the basic 1 through 9, 0, and whatever. Like a lot of the even numbers are very much to me like masculine or more of the beast instead of the feminine or the scarlet woman or whatever you want to call her, empress. There's multiple.
Interesting.
There's multiple names for the female, but
You think
like two
even
and
numbers are
four.
feminine or masculine? Sorry.
Say that again. Like I got like a lot of 4s or a lot of 2s and a lot of 8s I would get with like true crime 17. And like now I'm starting to think like, see, for me, and like even I think Jack the Ripper, there was like numbers that when I was fucking around with that might have came up that was kind of very Janus or beast like. And I do know for a fact I've definitely seen 73 and 56 before. I just can't remember
Really?
exactly where. But the thing is like that again, for me, like the Scarlet Whore would be like the cup that's capturing the light and the sound. And the light and the sound would be the projection, the male projection still matches with beast like stuff, in my opinion. So
That
now I'm
makes
just like,
sense.
fuck, I gotta start going back and like looking at things I didn't want to cover because I was just like a little like, and like this might help me now.
So the number, I just want to say real quick. So the number 23 pops up a lot in my life. And there was like a 10-year period there where I seen it everywhere. And I still see it periodically when I don't see the triple numbers. But that's interesting because before all that, like that became my favorite number. I was born on the 23rd. I was 23 inches long. And like that's my number. My mom was in labor with me for 23 and a half hours.
Really?
So yeah, and I saw this like everywhere, 23, 23. It was getting to the point where everybody around me was seeing it. It was that bad.
Wow.
And so when I see this, I'm like, and it breaks down to I am in waveform. Now I get it.
We're going to go into the 23 a lot, actually. Have you guys heard of the 23 Enigma?
Yeah.
No.
And
Yeah.
it's like 23 is a very important occult number. And
is that DNA thing too? 23 and me.
well, yeah, 23 chromosome, 46 chromosomes. Yeah,
Interesting.
it's all connected. Yeah.
One thing I want to ask you real quick before you go on to the next slide, before you keep going. You did mention electricity, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Do you think that's like actually a part of like magic and occultism?
Oh yeah, it's all electromagnetism,
Okay,
manipulation of energy. I think
that's great,
it
man.
like I mean,
I
if
wish I
it's
was thinking
all
like you at your age.
want to know what I
I know,
think.
right?
So like, I mean, it's all E equals MC squared, right? It's all a continuum of matter, energy, information, and I think in I don't know. I've sort of been playing with the
No, I've
idea.
even said that before. I mean, kind of. I'm playing around, but like there might be something to it. But like I've even said before, like if E was energy, and if it's in capital letters, and M, those are like 2 points again, and then the C is something that would actually be like a cup and fill up, squared now.
Ah,
You know what I'm saying? Just to me, it is even just that whole small little E equals MC squared. I could see like an occultist being like,
there's like it's an
yeah, that's
occult
filling up
formula
a
too.
vessel and creating something.
Yeah,
It's
that's cool.
just off a play, like just like what the letters actually look like. Sometimes I do think letters actually sigils in themselves to explain something.
Yeah, it's directing light energy itself. I think like letters
And I
and
think the
numbers.
numbers are like the value of what that energy is in each letter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. I've been playing with this idea that numbers and letters are like bent angles of light, light contortions, distortions of this pure, ether light, the divine light. And then through this like holographic matrix, it like projects this reality from this like I don't know, it's like in this
Well, think like you
I
kind of
don't
like
like I don't understand the science entirely, obviously, but
a good way to try to maybe explain what you're like even thinking of, and this is why I suggest getting into the Kabbalah. If you tried to put that into like a 3-dimensional crystal structure, I could totally see what you're trying to get at.
yeah. But yeah,
Uh,
the numbers, the angles, the angels, right? Their messenger, the directions.
yeah, I have often brought that up that I think, angle, angels, arc, welder,
Archons, yeah.
archangel, like
Yeah.
they all, there's electricity.
I love playing with it. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So
Yeah.
sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you. I just wanted to know because you mentioned that and I was like, that, caught my attention.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe there's, totally, totally right with that. So you can proceed. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry. um 9 Neters. The Neters are the Egyptian gods. Well, I mean that's pretty obvious. It's the 9 nature principles, which are the 9 numbers, I guess. And then 0 becomes 1 and 10. There's the Kabbalah.
There used to be a council of 9 back in the day that was like
The Ennead.
that and that was like kind of like I think an occult group in a sense.
Yeah.
Megan, you've heard of them? I saw you shake your head. You've heard of them?
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard of them
Oh,
across my
okay.
studies. I hear all kinds of stuff. And
Yeah, I think like Plutarch might have been involved in that or something.
mhm.
Oh yeah, the Council of 9 with the CIA Stargate files. Yeah, they're contacting these 9 discarnate like watcher entities, the Ascended Masters.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
that's a whole rabbit hole.
Yo, they're crazy shit with that. I hate that, like, we're totally off the subject with this topic. But like if people look into that shit though, it is so wild. You have these group of people like thinking that they were like doing seances, but like somehow like one of them was like either like Folgers or DuPont. I'm almost positive it was one of them or someone that big. Then there was like a Russian family that somehow, I don't know how, was connected to Lee Harvey Oswald.
Wow.
It's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like
You got a group of these famous rich people thinking they're doing seances and like tied to all this shit. Something is weird and wrong.
that blend of like CIA government espionage with occult and sci-fi and just I love it. I love it. Yeah, not much. Oh yeah, with the 5 and 6 though, actually, back to that. The 5 and the 6, I think, well, that is the pentahexa, which is the structure of our DNA bonds, right? The nucleic acids.
Well, even
And
what's
I think
interesting about that is when you with magic, and I think Megan can even back me up on this. For the most part, I mean, if you're doing like rituals, you're either going to be casting a pentagram or a hexagram.
right.
So I mean, there's your 5 and your 6 again.
Mm-hmm. And isn't like Crowley's one like logo? Is it like the golden or no the Ordo?
The Odo template, the OTO.
Yeah.
Template Oriental.
Is that where the logo is like the 5-pointed star and the 6-pointed, and then
It looks like the God, what do you call that thing again? There's a specific name for that shape.
Vesica Pisces?
Yeah. The middle part of it. Yeah, it looks like the Vesica Pisces. It's in that shape. It's got a dove. It's got a couple roses in there. It's got a raise. It's got a bunch of things going in there. I have seen them though. I mean, I think I might know what you're talking about. Would you say a 7-pointed star? He might have that associated with the Astrum Argentum, actually. But he does use that on.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's the Astrum Argentum. That's the logo I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and it's like it's on all his books too, his Libra books. But I like those were never like I think like OTO. You know, that's more of just Crowley or AA published material.
Okay. Yeah, I think the 5 and the 6 represents like the relationship between the inorganic, maybe like the line between biology and technology. I saw this Jane 108 post talking. You know that dude?
Yeah.
He's a sacred geometry wizard.
Oh yeah, that guy is amazing.
Very popular.
Yeah,
he's cool. But and like talking how the penta would represent like biology being, you know, the 5 is the number of nature and man and action form, I guess, and then 6, well, that would be more like crystalline, I guess, like AI, like computational.
Well, I mean, that even goes back to a
computer
beehive
chips
and like a whole bunch of drones in a sense in the hexagram. You know, I mean, even I you know, I'm not going to get into it with this episode, but again, you know, I've even covered stuff with the eyes, and like even your lens is built kind of like with hexagrams or like turtle shells almost.
Yeah, so it's like,
I mean, not your lens. I'm sorry, your cornea, like the right guy, the actual that and the fucking Fibonacci spirals are actually in your fucking cornea.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So the 5 and the 6 is like the Fibonacci versus the binary, where one is like the Fibonacci is ever spiraling, and it's ever approaching the golden ratio perfectly, but never actually quite reaching it. While the golden ratio and the binary sequence, it encodes the 369 into it. And I don't know, like that's why I included the beehive, because I think it's like this, it's like the merge of like natural intelligence and artificial intelligence, I guess. I don't really know where I'm going with this rabbit hole, but I had this sort of insight. But like it's sort of,
I do think, I mean, look, even the Masons and the Mormons use beehives as symbolism.
Oh yeah, it's one of the most
so,
ancient
I mean, there's something
too.
behind that shit.
It goes back to ancient Merovingian symbol. Yeah. Yeah, it's old.
This is so cool that you're coming at this with like sacred geometry, because me and Nick are like super into it, and we talked about it one time, and like I even incorporate it now in my magic. I kind of have modified things, and now I do some sacred geometry with what I already do. And I'm telling you, like the downloads that I get constantly about this stuff. So once you start working with sacred geometry energetically and have those shapes around you and everywhere, I even have, them around my neck. So I have that stuff everywhere as like a reminder. And just studying that stuff and using it, the amount of downloads that you get is like phenomenal. So I'm really glad that you bring in sacred geometry into this, because it has a huge part to play in occult practices that really isn't talked about that much, especially when you start using the shapes on an energetic level as well throughout your auric field. And so I never associated gematria with this. So like on this level, so I just wanted to say, like, this is really cool. I'm glad that you did this. This is,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, I even had somebody on, and I think when it comes out, I'm almost positive. I could be wrong, but not trying to misquote the person. But I do think that even when we covered stuff with the eyeballs, they were saying like one of the few ways you can actually make a pupil, like our pupils are yoked. When one gets big, the other one gets big. But one of the ways you can make one change without the other is like, I think, like kind of like shining or looking at specific geometric shapes can actually make that happen. So like, sacred geometry, even I would even start questioning, like when we're making our own sigils, us looking at that, is that, something up with that. If looking at a specific shape can make your pupil dilate or not, I mean, that's
wow,
something to me, especially with a cultism, a cult.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. All right.
That makes you think. Okay, let's see what I got next slide. Oh yeah, so
look at this. Got tarot.
you got the Thoth deck.
Let me see. Okay. Yeah, so I basically like when it's really simple and it just sort of spells itself out. It's really self-explanatory. It's obvious. So what is sacred geometry? We're looking at the patterns, God's patterns in Mother Nature, so it can go beyond the veil of Isis. Well, it's all right there. And then obviously this card, I mean, you see all the sacred geometries. Yeah. That's the high priestess or whatever. Yeah. And so, yeah, back to the beehive too, and the veil. The beehive represents the veil, I guess, and like the guy in consciousness versus the higher consciousness. Maybe I don't know.
It says veil duality beehive. Well, see again. I mean, that's even interesting. Like, what I was saying with like the beehive structure, kind of in your cornea. Again, if this is all about stuff to do with your eye, I could see maybe that being like the first veil you're going past.
It is, yeah. And like, the Vesica Pisces, the two circles, and then the shape in between, that little lens, that almond shape, the mandorla, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Well, that's also, it's obviously it's vaginal, but it's also looks like an eye. So that's the birth of light and life, I guess, if that's how you want to look at it. But yeah, okay. I guess I included these here too. Know thyself and solve a coagula.
Both 158.
I'd like to get a really good look at that statue there, man, because I'm seeing some stuff already.
Yeah, what we got some. What is she holding? Like a
possibly roses. Is that like it almost looks like, is that like lobsters on there too? Like on the
I was
it's like on the bottom of the moon card for some tarot decks.
Oh, there's some lotus on it. Lotus flowers.
Oh, they're definitely Isis.
Yeah. That kind of looks like that movie, The Nun, man. That statue is like creeping me out right now.
I know, it's kind of a creepy statue.
I mean, it does, man, like totally. The face is what's doing it for me, man. But yeah, that is Madonna. Cool. Yep.
Oh, I just realized she's got her fucking titties out and everything too.
Yeah, man.
Oh, wow. I just noticed that. I'm fucking slipping. Oh, wow.
Okay. So let's go into the 23 enigma and back to this idea. The 23 is the crown, and it's like your crown fire, your sense of self, your your I am. So crown, there's the 73 again, matches with Shin W. Well, Shin, yeah, that's the Hebrew letter, which looks like a W, and it's fire. And then I thought this was cool. The cursive Hebrew, modern cursive, looks like a lowercase e, and if you flip the Shin around sideways, it looks like an uppercase e. Those teeth.
Wow.
Where'd you get that symbol from that has like the lion and the sun?
I don't know. I think I just
That was
looked up a sun
bugged
line.
out.
Don't ask me why I put this ugly filter on it either. I don't like how it looks. It looks piss stained.
No, but like I may have to like try to grab that and actually use that in my
I'll see if I
mail
can find it.
episode, yeah, because that's actually like perfect.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's like maybe it's Roman or something. I don't know.
Sorry, that really caught my attention.
I was thinking
That's-
Arabic for some reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe it's the
the sword you were thinking.
and,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that's his filter or not, but if that lion is green, it represents alchemy.
Right. That's why I put the filter on it. Actually, yeah.
Okay.
Make them green.
Well. That's cool.
So yeah, I did a bunch of posts on the 23, and they all like kept lining up with my 1122 code. So I was like, great. Well, 23, that's LeBron's number, right?
Used to be Michael Jordan's number. Okay.
Yeah, well, exactly. So why they're like regarded as two of the greats, right? I don't watch basketball, but they're like two of the only players that everyone knows, right?
Right.
And well, I think there must be some type of occult power behind it. And well, obviously it's connection to the crown. It's the king's number, I guess. So all these 1122 codes. It's like I was just riffing on it, spelling it out, being literal. Let's all get the big W. I thought that was funny. But then over here.
That is weird though. I mean, especially like I said before with the whole, that crime. I mean, 1122 Kings Road, Brian Koberger, Idaho 4.
Yeah, man.
And like I was saying before, 417, I think was like a timestamp for something, and just very weird. I mean, like I've even joked, but I do think there could be something there. Like Jack the Ripper was 1888, and the college was founded in 1889.
So
I mean, I know that's like a year off, but it's just very weird. You know what I'm saying? Like the numbers with that stuff, and now this coming up. He lived in G building in his apartment complex.
G. Ooh, big G. We'll get back to that actually because JFK was killed on 11/22, November 22nd. And Aldous Huxley also died on that date. And he was like on his deathbed, dosed up on LSD as he went out, apparently. So maybe there's some sort of ritual significance to it. Yeah, I don't actually know, but I don't know. All I know is that the 1122, it doesn't fucking disappear for me. Like it just comes up constantly in my codes, and like when I'm on my own rabbit holes, the 1122, it will like pop up as like an indicator that I'm like I'm on the trail, I guess. You know what I mean? It's like my reference point.
Yeah.
It's cool. So yeah, 23, all these words here, they're pretty intricately related. Pyre, or, life, shin, prana, apple, Adam, Eve. Like that's the spark of life.
That is weird though.
And then it comes up again in Chaldean too. Pineal, crown, shin, sin. And so I'll go back into the idea of the sin and the 23 enigma with the Discordians. You know the Discordians and Robert Anton Wilson?
Yes.
Like, so he popularized, that's where I learned about the 23 enigma. Like his books, when I read them a couple years ago, like they blew my mind. And that's, I sort of credit them as being one of my big wake up calls, I guess. Blew my mind, opened my third eye. So, 23 is the Royal Lion Star. Like if you look that up on like a numerology website, it will say 23 is the number of the royal lion star, which is Regulus. And I'm the lion star W, big 23.
Is that one of the fixed signs?
I think. I'm not sure. I don't know.
So, like
What
the
are the
royal,
royal
it'd be one
stars?
of, yeah, okay. That's what I was getting at next. If it was a royal star. Okay. So there's a
Royal
magical
lion
connection
star.
there. You know, when you're talking about astrotheurgy, that's one of the points that you get to there.
Have you ever tried instead of a, I'm sure you probably didn't think of it. Maybe one day if you just want to try something else out, maybe replace that W with an M. See what you get.
An M?
Yes, because it would just be like the opposite of W
Mm,
in some
the
sense.
inversion. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd have to try that.
I
yeah.
typed in ceremonial magic last night in one of those generators. Hermetics, Kabbalah, all kinds of shit popped up.
Really?
And I was like, what? I was surprised. Like I seen everything that it generated. And it was kind of sparse, but I mean, the words that popped up, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's like obviously like there's always going to be words that are like totally unrelated, but like when you see there's like a consistent pattern being formed in these like within the themes and these numbers esoterically linking all these concepts somehow. I don't know. It it does become kind of clear after you see it enough. Yeah. um okay, well, okay, so the 23 enigma. um well, yeah, the Discordians, they worship the number 23 as like this chaotic number. It's like I think it's this like cosmic pivot or like this cosmic trigger even, which is funny because that's Robert Anton Wilson's book, and he's the Discordian dude. So the whole story of Discordia and Eris, this Greek goddess of chaos, Eris, she was watching the gods attend this wedding, and she got jealous, and she threw this apple into the crowd to stir shit up, and the apple had Callisti written on it, which meant to the fairest or to the most beautiful. So she throws this apple in and gets everyone fighting over the apple because it's supposed to be for the prettiest one. All the gods think they're pretty. And then so it's like Aphrodite, Hera, and Athena. They get Paris to judge who is the fairest. But that basically the story is the apple of discord basically represents the crux of an argument or like this inciting event, this little minuscule event that leads to something major, I guess. It ripples out the butterfly effect, I guess. So that's so I tied this all back to Adam and Eve, and the apple of sin is related to this idea of the apple of discord. And isn't it funny? The Hebrew word for sin equals 23, just like Callisti does, which is written on the apple.
Oh.
So it's all tied together. And then there's the shin, the sin, the fire.
Well, it's interesting. Like I've often thought of like the apple as like a toroidal field. And then
Right,
somebody
right.
was saying in the chat that for people who believe in the globe theory, the Earth is tilted at a 23-degree
It
angle.
is.
So,
It is. I
so
forgot
like
to
if
mention that. That's cool. Yeah, so I think it is this cosmic trigger. It's like the two leading into the three is with two, you have duality in this polarity. That's this tension that wants to resolve itself. So it's gonna find this third point to triangulate itself, become a triangle, the strongest shape, achieve stability. And then well that creates the sun and the Holy Trinity. And I mean, yeah, three's the magic number.
I use that same picture you got up now in the series that I did for the eyeball stuff of Poseidon. The same exact
Yeah,
that in the back shot of it because I
I
was
love it.
my theory was that he might be holding the hyaloid canal possible.
Wait, what?
The hyaloid canal that's inside your eyeball.
Oh.
Yeah, because like the middle part is like the optic nerve, and then there's like kind of like the flesh. So like you could see points coming
And
out of the eye.
it's at the right angle too.
Yeah, like he's holding it on an angle because it is on an angle as well.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
That's actually what, before when you mentioned the sword, the reason that it's bent, that caught my attention because when your lens raises in your eyeball, your hyaloid canal will bend as well. So that's why that caught my attention because I was like, we got Lion, we got the Leo. Remember the Lion was in that tarot card that I was saying had something to do with the eyes, and it was all yellow and white, the card.
Yeah.
And I was saying she looks like she might be the bending high. Like that. I was thinking, again, you see the lion now, the sword is just bent.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Now these are whole new connections I didn't even see. I love it.
This 1122 popping up a lot is weird.
No, it is. It's really weird. Poseidon Trident 1122. And then, so this is the road that JFK was killed on. Look at this. That is, what's it called? Delaney Plaza.
Where's that?
That's in Texas where he was shot.
Oh, okay. That's
where JFK was killed on 1122, and it's this trident shape. Now, also, if you look at the building, one of the 9/11 twin towers, it has this pattern all over, like on its like window.
Yeah, that's bugged
I
out.
should have included it, but
I can see that though. That's weird.
I don't know. It's this trident of power, I guess. I don't really know. But then, what have we seen the past 2 years? This Ukrainian Tamga trident symbol.
Yo, you know what I thought was interesting too? And I mean, this is probably purely coincidence, but then again, you never know. The Division Bell by Pink Floyd. Those two faces looking at each other almost look like those two sides. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And they also, I hate to admit it, but they fucking David Gilmour did, I think, do a song with Floyd about fucking Ukraine's war or some shit. So I was like, oh man, one of my favorite bands just fucking.
It makes you think. Like,
but I can admit it at least. That was a real fucking pussy ass move.
I mean, they're all sellouts. They're all.
Yeah. No, it's some people. It's like, you say someone's like favorite artist is an occultist, they take it personal. It's like, Pink Floyd's one of my favorite bands, and I think it's, they were probably master magicians themselves. It's okay.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't stop me from not from liking their music.
Mm-hmm. I'm wearing their shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, this symbol alone, like, it's a master sigil.
Yeah. That is some serious shit. I agree. All right. That is wild though. I do see that though, the trident, I think, with that one part that you had there. You have to go back.
Yeah.
I do see that a little bit. It's almost before it curves at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. So this trident basically represents power, and then Poseidon and Shiva, they carry tridents, and they're part of this devil archetype, right? The devil's pitchfork. And I mean, Shiva's animal is the goat. Neptune is sort of linked to Enki, who is the sea goat, and there's Capricorn, Saturn. Like it's generally the same, like the archetypes sort of. Yeah.
Well, I find that interesting too. I was even on I jumped on somebody's, I think I forgot what day it was last week. Somebody had like a panel going, and they had a link up and you could join it, and they started talking about the same things that they were showing flat earth models and thinking it came from inside the eye.
Oh yeah.
I gotta jump on.
No, I've heard of eyeball earth theory.
Yo, that shit's bugged out. I show that shit in the stuff that I put out too. Yo, a lot of flat earth, I hate to say it, and like other pictures that, with the earth inside the dome, like that's so like fucking inside your eye. I hate to say it. Really looks like it.
So yeah, that makes you think, is it like reality is all taking place inside the eye too, because reality is what you perceive. And
I forgot where I was going with that, but
I don't know,
just go.
It's like a microcosm macrocosm thing, as within so without. I mean, you perceive your reality is held within the eyes itself, the visual function.
Very much true.
It's interesting. So yeah, I think this is the last one for like the 23. Yeah. I just wanted to include this because, like, well, here we have this trident symbol again, which is psi, the Greek letter, which represents a waveform in physics, and also is like used as the symbol of psychology as a field. So there's like the psi waves, the mental waves, communication. Yeah, the 1122s, man, they just keep coming. So I found this out though. This was cool as fuck. So 23 is the 9th prime number, right? The Quran was revealed to Muhammad on the 23rd day of the 9th Islamic month over the course of 23 years.
Oh,
What do you know?
damn.
Now, Neptune, which we were just talking about with his trident and shit and being connected to the symbolism in the waves. Neptune, the planet, was discovered on September 23rd. That's 923.
Wow.
I wonder what that means. I don't know. It's cool.
Wow.
Something about this 9 and 23.
I just wanted to say something about the trident real quick. So
Yeah.
So those are used sometimes in magic, and what they're used for, they're usually made out of iron, and so they're made to pierce like veils, energetic veils. I just wanted to kind of throw that in there real quick.
No, that's totally relevant. Wow. No, because like,
Oh, I had somebody I think saying in the chat. I had Thrash. I think he was saying too that like I think in that map that you were showing before, you might actually be maybe not in that picture, but I think in that area he was saying that you can even see a Kabbalah tree. He thinks as a design of the tree of life in there as well.
Wow. Yeah.
Over by I think where Kennedy.
this map.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like I don't know if you can see it in that picture, but he was like saying that like if you zoom out, it's the same design as the Kabbalah tree of life.
Yeah, like if you pan up, if you were to pan up on that, yeah, I can see like that would be the bottom.
Because
I had somebody on my show who was even showing that the tree of life is on that fucking what is that Oak Island that they keep digging at for fucking gold.
Oh gosh,
yeah, Oak Island, where the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail is.
The Kabbalah tree of life is on there too, and I'm just like, is that just the whole thing?
Wow.
It's just like we'll get people to watch it because the tree of life is like somehow like manifested on this fucking island. I don't know, like some weird magical connection just to make money.
You know what I just thought of too, actually, because well, that trident shape is on the Twin Towers, right? And the Twin Towers is like mapping out the tree of life too. And then the one building 7, I think, is owned by the Solomon brothers. There's Solomon's pillars, right? Like it's all just sort of encoded in there. Okay. So I love Sirius. I love decoding Sirius. I love the rabbit holes Sirius brings me down. Sirius, the Eastern Star, the occult initiator. I mean, the Egyptians thought it was a portal to the afterlife. I think it's like this all-seeing eye. Like, I don't even. Is it God? What do you guys think Sirius is? I'm real serious.
Isn't that one another one of the royal stars? Isn't that in a constellation?
It's in Canis Major. It's the brightest star in the night sky, and like all the ancients worshipped it as like being this afterlife portal.
I'm pretty sure it's one of them. Yeah, that's okay. So that has, talking about astrotheurgy again. The 4 royal stars that you eventually invoke once you get past a certain point. But anyway, yeah, I think there's a connection there too. I just can't explain exactly. I'd have to think about the thread on that one, but yeah, you keep coming up with these stars that are, used in astrotheurgy. So that's another thing too that so I'm like super impressed with your knowledge, man. I just wanted to say that really quick. I want to know who your teacher is. Because you're putting some things together that not everybody is putting all this stuff together. So I think seriously, I think you have an open connection to something somewhere. I can kind of feel it. And I'm thinking that something happened and it opened a door like wide open for you.
Interesting. I mean, all I can really say is like
Because
my,
you know
my
this stuff
psychedelic
already.
adventures is what opened me up to my higher self in a way.
Okay. Yeah, because there is a knowing there that I don't think you realize you have either. I just wanted to say that real quick.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Well, I really appreciate hearing that.
Yeah, you're making a lot of
shit and not
connections.
even realize it because it's like they caught something, but they don't fully understand it, but they actually found something.
Yeah,
You
that's
know
what
I'm
I'm
saying?
getting at
Sometimes-
here.
Yeah, sometimes I think that I definitely think I come across shit like that all the time. Find something. I mean, I know exactly what it is, but I might be on the right path.
Yeah, I think like
Peter Pan. That's interesting in there with the Neverland.
Yeah.
The
We'll go into
PSI
Peter
waves,
Pan actually. I mean, so Peter Pan
Neptune.
Peter Pan is like an obvious, like, it's very obviously telling the story of Isis and Osiris, and you know, Peter Pan is the green man, Pan, the wild man. So yeah, like he's this boy that doesn't want to grow up, and he's constantly fighting with his shadow. And Tinkerbell is Isis, this fairy queen who, I mean, with her magic, he can live forever. He attains eternal youth through resurrecting himself as the sun Horus, I guess. So it contains that Egyptian mythology encoded into it, I guess, and like all I don't know, yeah, the Pan, the Green Man, very esoteric. I'll have to do a deeper dive into it actually, because it's cool.
Reminds me of like the Twilight Zone where they had that
The
episode
Lost Boys, yeah.
where they would kick that can. They go play that game and kick that can, and like I think like they'd go and like turn young or something. There was a Twilight Zone episode, or it was part of like the movie, the old movie that came out.
Oh, I
Where
used
it
to
had
watch
something to do with kicking around some can. These old people in an old person home, and then like they fucking turn into kids and shit. That's just weird.
It could be related to all these like elites doing these rituals to like achieve vampirism and become immortal, and I don't know.
So you got pineal gland too, Kundalini. You know, I'm thinking also.
Yeah,
Like,
so Sirius has all these important matches like pineal, Kundalini, upgraded DNA, Aquarian age, I am that I am, Excalibur, which is Excalibur pulling the sword from the stone, raising the spirit from matter, raising up the serpent. And I really think 23 is connected to the star Sirius too. And like the idea of like this hidden 23rd path, the 23rd of tarot, 23rd.
You're talking about the hidden sphere.
Yeah, like the hidden axle within the wheel. Yeah, the Ishtar. So yeah, Sothis, which is the Egyptian name for Sirius, matches. Okay. I thought that was cool. And then the Psi waves, the signal, Murugan, which is Shiva's son. He's a fiery war god. And the star Sirius is thought to be the eye of Shiva, I guess.
That's just a lot of weird stuff with that's just like certain numbers I know, like just pull up specific things. Like it's just like 95. I've never known as like a number to have weird stuff connected.
Yeah. No, I found a lot. It's like it started with Sirius and Neptune, and then it just kept coming. Anamnesis, which is like the opposite of amnesia, it means to remember. And
then again, I guess like honestly, if you put in any planet's name, or no matter what that adds up to, there's probably something up with that fucking number anyway.
Yeah, it's like eventually realize every number has some sort of special property.
Yeah.
All kinds of crazy shit. Yeah. There definitely are some that really stand out for me, though. Besides the obvious ones like 33 and 47, 322. So I had this little decode series I did on my page. The Binu and the Bat. The Binu is the Egyptian bird that is the phoenix. And like they represented it as like an ibis and hawk as well. And there's Thoth, god of magic, who's equated with Hermes and Mercury.
Yeah.
And he's this messenger god who travels between worlds, between life and death. So I thought that was similar to Osiris being risen as Horus, and this idea of Batman, the Dark Knight, you know, this journey through this dark night of the soul, journeying through the underworld and then rising with the treasure in hand, I guess.
I heard somebody actually recently on another show, might have even have been that one that I jumped on. Maybe they might have mentioned Batman prior, but I had just recently heard some shit with like numbers and some other occult stuff where I was like, yo, that actually sounds like fucking pretty solid. It was pretty interesting because I've heard some people kind of like touch on Batman and the Batman logo and all that stuff, but can't remember where I came across it, but it definitely piqued my interest and I listened for a bit. I was like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to dive into it more, like the actual movies, and like I didn't really go deep into the plots for these decodes, but I don't know. I was just looking at like the Dark Knight, Dark Phoenix symbolism, and I think like a bat would represent like the underworld aspect of the Phoenix before rising, I guess, or I don't know. The Infernal Phoenix, yeah, the Dark Phoenix. And then, yeah, there we are again with the Osiris and Isis, the I Am, Flames, Binu, Life and Death. Goddess Mat, which is associated with Sirius again. And the Phoenix is Sirius, right? Yeah, the Goddess Venus. So, yeah, Batman, by the way, 187, and if you put that into English Sumerian, multiply those numbers by 6. Batman the Dark Knight would be 1122 then, actually, too. That's funny. It just doesn't go away.
I've came across 187 and I think Contemporary Problems. TJ.
Yeah. He said his name equals 187, and that's how many Scrabble pieces there are, or letters or something.
Oh, maybe totaled up
right?
some shit. He said, yeah, something like that.
He said something like that. Yeah, this was just me sort of messing around with it, really.
Northern Lights, the Goddess Venus. See, that's interesting. Like, it would be like, whatever, but it's like they're both kind of they're both, to me, both have to do with light. You know, Venus, Northern Lights.
Northern Lights, the Aurora, right?
I mean, even like the Phoenix supposed
Aurora,
to be
goddess
like,
of the dawn.
Like the Phoenix supposed to be like all colorful, sometimes like depicted as a rainbow, that's showing the light spectrum.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and the Phoenix is the rising Lucifer, child of the dawn.
It's a weird thing. Like, I don't know if it like works for everything, but like even with the Northern Lights, like all right, like I think grass, like you would say, like grass is green because it doesn't absorb that color, it reflects it.
Yeah.
What the like? So then, like, how do you explain the Northern Lights? Like, is that just a light that's coming in that doesn't absorb green? It's swirling in the sky. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it must be like changing as a waveform of it.
It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know how that works because it's ionized plasma in the atmosphere, but it's
so it would just be reflecting
like,
green.
It's emitting the green light, though, is it not? Or
yeah, it emits the light.
I don't know the science of Aurora Borealis.
Yeah,
but
it's just electromagnetic waves coming from solar flares, and so it'll so whatever color it shows up, right, is the color that it's reflecting, because it is like plasmic. It does create plasma.
Mm-hmm. So the color green is really esoteric too. Like, I mean,
I think so.
The heart chakra, magic. I think it represents life and death too. Yeah, it's duality. It's the veil, the matrix code.
It looks really good in paranormal shit too.
Yeah. Like it can represent like a positive, like creative spring blossoming life generative, but also it could be like sickness and decay and poison, toxicity, right? It has the dual aspect to it.
There was a part. There was a real cheesy people. I'm sure nobody fucking watches it anymore. But when I was watching The Walking Dead, I watched that up until the end, and there was a part when Daryl was like kind of like off on his own with his dog, and I just thought it was very like occult. Like he's like the archer kind of, and like you got like dogs on tarot cards on or wolves, whatever. And like he, in my opinion, it was almost like he was going through what they call a character arcs or whatever. But to me, it was almost like the motherfucker was doing magic in his fucking head, or like he was going through some like deep shit. And a lot of it, whenever they were showing that, it had like a greenish hue on the screen.
Really?
Every time they went back to him and like his situation in that part of the series, it always had a greenish tinge to it. And I even thought that in itself was even trying to explain like this is actually like very magical moment.
Yeah, the green glow.
Yeah, and in the
That's
occult
cool.
symbolism throughout that whole show.
Yeah, no, that makes me think too. So the hunter and his dog, the Orion and Sirius, the dog star, right? Orion's belt is pointing right to Sirius, and he uses his dog to track down his prey, I guess. And the hunter, I mean, there's the mythology of Orion chasing the daughters of I forget what god it was. The daughters of Atlas, isn't it? It's
The Pleiades,
the
Seven
Pleiades.
Sisters.
Yeah, the Seven Sisters. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there's the whole Mithras slaying the bull mythos, because the Pleiades is the leg of the bull. And I don't know that. I'll have to dive deeper in all that, but like it all sort of ties together.
Oh yeah, especially astrology. If you study some astrology, it'll really blow your mind, man.
Oh yeah, I have a lot to learn when it comes to astrology. Trust me. Like I know a little bit, but it's deep.
See, I find that 3 heads equaling 93 and Saturn equaling 93 interesting, because like Saturn's the third sphere on the tree of life.
Ah, yeah, true.
The Hound, that's interesting. The
Hound, the dog star. So yeah, the 93s and the 95s and the 94s, and the 91s. Cerberus, dog of Set, because Sirius is the star of Set and Isis and Osiris. Like, it sort of links to all of them.
See, that's weird, because like now you're getting 95s again. Like I think like this is this like a different cipher, but 95s again? Because like before you even had like Neptune before. So like
yeah, this is all the same cipher actually. It's funny that it just keeps coming back around. Yeah. Yeah, that it's that Sirius signal, man. It's like a tractor beam. It's pulling us in. So yeah, I thought this was cool here because Sirius, which equals 95 and matches with Kundalini, which also equals 333 and happens to match with Sirios, the Greek spelling of it, which is 94. But there's that, it's almost like a double sync there.
So then you have the third eye.
And the third eye, the pineal. Yeah, so I think Sirius is like the all-seeing eye. That's sort of how I see it.
Yeah.
But it's like the reincarnating phoenix, the I am.
And 333, like number 3 is in like basic numerology, is all about creative force, creativity. It's the beginning, like in tarot, it's like, 3s always have to do with community, and there being 3 people involved usually, or like making a decision. So you have, the 1, which is beginning, 2 is making a decision, and then 3 is like seeing the fruits of your labor too. So 3 is really
a lot of form. or a lot of
creation and form and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Degrees.
Spirit. Yeah.
Yep. The Trinity. You could go on and on and on.
Yeah. No, 3 is powerful. It's magic.
Yep.
And yeah, the 3 heads, which maybe the 3 heads, the 3 eyes, third eye. I don't know.
Wasn't there like 3-headed dog symbolism in one of the tarot cards that we might have gone over with Mario recently?
Yeah, there was, and I believe it was it the lust
Probably the
card?
Toth, maybe.
Yeah, so yeah, it was that one for sure.
Oh,
That's cool.
yeah.
Do you know what I was also thinking of? I've heard that 333 is the number of Khoronsan, which is what Crowley named the lurker on the abyss.
Yeah.
Which comes back to this idea of the 3-headed dog guarding Hades. He's at the gates of hell. So yeah, that idea. Yeah. The headless head, the fire chicken, the star. Yeah. Who is yeah. Who is Cthulhu? Who is Cthulhu?
93. Saturn and the Black
Saturn. A lot of people sort of see Cthulhu as like a demiurgic, like, Saturn sleeping in the underworld, Cthulhu sleeping at the bottom of the sea. I think like it's a lot more nuanced than that, obviously, but yeah, I mean the matches are there for a reason. Kraken and that, so the IX III, that's 9 and 3 in Roman numerals. So black cube matches with 9 and 3, and then the black cube equals 93, and then
Black cube is 60.
It's cool.
Kraken is 60, and then 93 in Roman numeral is 60. And if I spell out 93, you get 143. If you put Saturn's cube, you get 143, and the Great Dragon is 143. I'm just saying it because in case people are listening and aren't actually watching the screen,
right?
They have no idea what the hell we're looking
at. So the black cube, that's at Mecca, right?
Yeah.
And my mind's blanking right now on what if that. I know that was like a sacred site. I don't know if I'm right or not, but wasn't that where supposedly the Ark of the Covenant was?
I don't actually believe it or not.
I don't know. They have like
look around that thing a specific way.
They have like a meteor in there called
I think I might be wrong.
Stone.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Okay.
The Ark of the Covenant was at the Temple Mount, which is where the Dome of the Rock is.
Okay. I'm getting that mixed up.
That's that'd be in Jerusalem.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where the Ark of the but it comes back to the same sort of theme of this rock representing the center of reality, where also the story of the Holy Grail being this stone, this gemstone from Lucifer's crown being knocked out during the war in heaven. It falls down into the abyss, and then that becomes like the foundation stone of creation, and it's sealing the door to the abyss underneath it. And then they build the rest of the world around it. So that's why all these cultures have these holy mountains and these holy stones. And it represents like a divine passage of authority from heaven to earth. Like literally, that's why like every culture has these. If they didn't have holy mountains, they built big ass pyramids and built these stairway to heaven, and or had like big pillars or whatever.
Well, I heard also that this thing emits high EMF.
Oh, I bet.
So if it emits high EMF, okay. So if it was like a meteor that fell down, so there is one stone that we have here on Earth. It's called Moldavite.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the only ones that's an actual created by a meteor, and you can only get those at a certain part of the world. I want to say it's like Siberia and Russia.
Yeah.
And so what if like that came down, right? And then you have all these people every day walking around it 7 times. Like every day they're supposed to make this trip at least once in their lifetime. And so you're supposed to go around it 7 times, right? And so can you imagine like just that alone would cause EMF spikes to be off the charts, let alone what's actually in there, especially if it's something that, you know, is radioactive that came from space. So
Yeah.
like when we were talking about that, the stone falling out, I was thinking, man, like Moldavite, like just shot to the front of my brain. I was like, because that, I don't know if you guys have ever been in the presence of it or not, but it, like, I couldn't even wear it. I bought a necklace and I couldn't wear it for like 2 weeks. I had to gradually get used to wearing it because it was too much.
Wow.
So that's,
I know I had it at one point.
I've never owned any. I've heard that when you own Moldavite, like it'll come into your life and then it'll somehow like attract you experiences that will cause some sort of intense, like chaotic change, but like for the better. But
yeah.
it can like fuck up shit in your life, I guess. And
Well, I quit wearing it after
then it'll like
like a
find
year.
its way out of your life too. Yeah.
Yeah, I quit wearing it after like a year. It's been sitting in my jewelry box for like
That's
a
cool.
decade.
That's cool. Yeah, I need to get my hands on some eventually.
Yeah, it's quite different energetically, especially if you're not used to it.
Alien rocks.
And you said it will give off an EMF spike?
Well, I don't know if that will, but
Oh.
I mean, if you had a big enough piece, right?
Yeah,
that's
no.
under, supposedly underneath this one. We don't know.
People,
We don't know what's under
Yeah,
there.
there even could be there. I was even wondering, like, you know, depending on what kind of like stuff that shit's built out of. You know, all those people walking around in certain ways. Is that creating? Is that creating energy?
you're
Like
creating
almost
a battery. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's a
yeah, like
generator. Yeah.
I mean, that's
They're-
what I'm saying. Like, who knows what's really underneath there and how long it's really been there? You know, you want to
Yeah.
go back to like, you know, Sumerian, Atlantean, Lemurian
Some
time.
Atlantean crystal. Yeah.
I mean, they had like things that actually emitted a lot of energy, kind of like a Tesla coil. They had stuff like that back then. And so yeah, that's crazy. I mean, dude, like I don't know for sure, but you know, I hear this stuff sometimes and I'm like, man, that sounds like totally plausible to me. But apparently this thing gives off EMF. Now, whether it's from what's underneath it or it's from all the people walking around it constantly
People
every day and it's absorbing. Well, what does Blackstone do? It absorbs negative energy, right? Any kind of energy. So it absorbs things. The color black just absorbs things.
That's true. Like I had I did have a black stone at one point that I used to keep by my stuff because of the way I was set up. I had a lot of my equipment right next to me. I can't remember the fucking. I had a big sphere that I used to use. Yes, obsidian. I had a big obsidian sphere. And I was like, I actually, for at one point, left it like on the table where I was setting up my stuff just to try to pull some of the EMF away from me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you know, after a while, like, you know, using this stuff a lot, you know, it will kind of, you are creating some sort of.
I use black tourmaline a lot. Like, I have it everywhere. And I carry it on me and I wear it in jewelry every single day. And I even have like hematite rings that I wear.
Yeah, that's another one that's supposed to be good.
Yeah, I like hematite. Yeah.
And obsidian. Or we can call it dragon glass if we're into like Game of Thrones.
I once
that's funny.
I came across this hematite obelisk necklace. I put it around my neck and I was like saying I had Mount Meru, the world pillar, hanging on my neck. But then I lost it at the airport, so it was like I wasn't supposed to have it or something.
Didn't need it.
Where it took flight.
Didn't need it.
Yeah, my rings will
else
like
has it now.
just break one day. They'll just shatter. They're just like shatter.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually broke a hematite ring once.
Yeah, I've broken like 5 of them.
And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like all of a sudden they'll just boom and they're like, they just break.
Really?
Like all of a sudden. They'll just like, I had one, I was going like this talking to somebody and it just busted and like flew off my finger.
Really?
That was crazy. But yeah, I sorry to go off on that tangent over there. I know that's kind of weird and off point, but I just think it's cool, like, you know, the theories about this stuff.
Yeah. I think they're like, yeah, it's like they're powering some type of egregore.
Yes.
You know, I did have.
How did you know that?
I did have some people in the chat say some interesting stuff. Oh man, I just lost it because I was moving it. Well, one, I do find it interesting, and Eric had even said it. Like, it's kind of interesting how a lot of like all these gods kind of are renamed after things in space, so like meteors and planets.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just. And I do find that interesting. And then
Is
Thrash.
that the alien invasion?
King Tut's dagger was also from a meteorite as well.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the outside infecting us from within.
Yeah, and then Eric even mentioned something about Mecca, maybe going back to like polar symbolism. And you never know. Like we were just saying, if they're creating some sort of energy there, and there's that black stone,
Yeah.
maybe that is one end of a polar opposite to something else.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, just it
I
being
mean,
an egregore alone
Yeah, you
would
just get
cause
these
it to
people in this
grow.
religion believe that you have to go there.
Yeah.
You have to do
And they
this.
do
now,
it.
now you got fucking slaves every day generating fucking power around some fucking.
yeah. No, yeah, the amount of collective consciousness energy produced from like
Imagine the
everywhere,
emotional
yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
holy shit.
That's
Man,
what's
they would
powering
just-
the Saturn moon matrix. I mean, like
If you can get people to go down in there and do that, in my opinion, that shows you magic.
Yeah.
yeah, if you can make people do that, that just shows there's something. Like, come on.
All right, sorry about that. You can go. Oh, Apophis, nice.
Oh yeah.
Leviathan.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm just I don't really know why I even included this one. It's just sort of on the Cthulhu theme.
Did you ever come across Typhon numerically?
Oh yeah, yeah. What does Typhon equal? Let me.
Because I know
Typhon
in
comes
the
up.
LPX formula you do say Apophis and Typhon. I was just wondering like what kind of numbers they both had. Since now
That
you
would
have
be interesting.
yeah.
Like Typhon, yeah, like he's related to like Saturn and the serpent, obviously.
84.
What does
So
he
you got
equal?
Leviathan 84.
Oh, okay.
84.
Typhon equals 98. That actually will come up later.
Pluto 84, Sea Dragon 84.
So yeah, basically all these themes of like this fallen angel sleeping at the bottom of the sea, waiting to rise, Saturn waiting to be resurrected, and he's gonna come back and rule over his golden age again. He wants his power back.
You have Under the Sea. So for like
Crossroads.
538, then you have Crossroads Outsider, The Sands of Time, which I find interesting. Goddess Ishtar, Cthulhu, and Under the Sea. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of like what I do is just sort of like free association, putting it together. Like a lot of people just ask me like, what does this mean? Like it's sort of like you just sort of
Even
look
my
at it and get a sense of the themes and the ideas, the energies being presented.
Yeah, to me, like this makes sense to me because I'm seeing like the Sands of Time, and then like the aquatic stuff I could see as like the abyss.
Yeah.
Which is like has like something to do with maybe like the lack of time now, but you know what I'm getting at? Like it's just and then like even again, like I had mentioned that I do think, and again going back to the eyeball, a lot of aquatic gods might have to do with like when you're starting to move your lens and shit, you are starting to shift water in your eyeball. So like I could see again, like if that has something to do with magic, the sands of time, again, your cornea even looks like sand.
Wow.
So like
This
under the
eyeball
sea,
rabbit hole. I like
yeah,
it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
really
can
like
see a lot
it.
of that.
I'm gonna have to look at more into the eyeball Earth theory. I love it. No, that's cool.
I can send you a few links to after the show of a couple of people that have kind of done some stuff on it with the flat Earth. They just don't get into like the tarot and the occult symbolism like I will. But
Do you know the YouTube channel Enter the Stars?
That was going to be one of them. I was going to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried hitting him up and even messaged his fucking videos and was like, dude, like I'm working on the same thing right now. I was like, let's like do something. And he didn't respond, but in one of his episodes after that, he did mention that he does not tend to work with too many people in the conspiracy community. Well, just see, he just says it's just The guy's totally right, to be totally honest with you. The guy was just like, there's so much bullshit and drama, but sometimes with working with people in this community, it's just he'd rather just stay to himself. And I was like, I get the guy. So I don't know if that was like specific, to me, but I'm sure he's probably had a lot of people hit him up because some of the work that he's done with the eyes and flat Earth is just, I took it to tarot and occult symbolism after that.
I used to watch his page like a couple years ago, and then I don't know, I like checked him again, and like I noticed he'd like blown up a bunch. He has like 100,000 subscribers now or something.
Yeah.
He didn't have much at all when I had followed him.
I had wanted to do something like that for a while because it just like my own experiences with magic. I thought just even with the changes that I had in my eyeballs, like I even had like when I went to after I had one of my experiences, one of my eyeballs was like 4 millimeters bigger than the other one. My
That
pupil,
is so,
so like I knew something was up with the fucking eyes, and like I just even started thinking about light reflection and like just lightly even like looked into stuff about the eyes, and like I started looking at like the universal hexagram, and I'm like that just looks like light reflection on the lens.
yeah.
It was like really weird, and I kind of assumed there was something up with it, but I was just like, I don't know the science behind it at all to even try to approach that. And luckily, I happen to have a listener that actually like understands the whole like as actually telling this tale of like what's going on in your eyeball as light is entering it, and then I'm covering the occult symbolism as they're doing that, which adds a whole new dynamic.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and not to knock into the stars or anything, but the person that came on my show who had no idea who this person is, I sent them the stuff and said, take a look at this. This is where I kind of want to go. And they had said that some great work, but unfortunately he did fuck up some of the actual anatomy of the eye, which can make a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
So I do have somebody that actually understands like the full anatomy and how it's working.
That's
and I
cool.
think that actually really adds, because when you start getting numbers and layers and like, this is that size and this is this, and these numbers add up, shit just gets kind of weird.
You know what I'm thinking of too? That the sigil of Lucifer looks like the optical diagram that Rene Descartes was drawing.
Yeah, that was something I think we were going to
Light
touch on.
entering the eye, and yeah.
Yo, even the fox, if you this is again what I even another thing. I had one pupil that was kind of like dilated, and the other one that was I had like it was almost as if one was small and the other one was like kind of like normal. So the thing is I like on the even like you were talking about the light reflection. If you were to look at the light reflection inside your eyeball when it's dilated, and then like looking at it when it's like kind of like normal or regular or whatever, or smaller, if you look at the way that those angles go back and reflect off your lens, it's the exact same thing you would see on 20th Century Fox with their lights.
Really?
You have the two pillars, which is the pupil that I think is bigger. You do have two lines that come out, and then there's like reflecting in there. And then the other one looks much more of like a crossing triangle. It's the same exact thing that the lights on the 20th Century Fox are showing you. One pupil big, one pupil smaller.
What the heck?
And I was like, yo,
what the heck?
Weird.
That is cool.
I was gonna say one thing. So I was thinking the other night, I meant to shoot you a message about this, but like since we're talking about the eye stuff, so like what do you think is happening when we have those like symptoms? So say like floaters, or sometimes I'll see geometric shapes like floaters. And so I'm like, I was thinking, so what if like these people that have all these symptoms in their eyes, right? Like glaucoma and, disease, and then actual symptoms of like something going on with the eyes. It's like, I was going to say, well, what if there's something going on there? Something that's happening.
Well, see, I've even like started to think about that now too. It's like, considering that like our cornea, like I said before, there is parts of it where it's like at the Fibonacci sequence, and then there's parts of it where it looks like a hexagram, like, almost like a beehive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just right there, that the fact that those shapes are even in your cornea is just, it's like almost like covering so much
crazy
geometry right there, that if you're to be thinking you're seeing it in your eyes, like, how do you know where that's actually coming from?
Yeah.
You're actually seeing it in your eye.
Yeah, like I will see it like little floaters. Like you know how you see things, sometimes you'll see like these squiggly lines, sometimes it'll be
Oh,
like light.
yeah, but you're
But
saying they're
yeah.
actually like in geometrical shapes.
And then what if you have a paranormal experience? Like what's happening there in your eyes? Or is it happening in your head?
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Like that was
Yeah.
another like thing I was thinking about too. It was like say, you know, you can see ghosts and you see one. And then it's like, well, okay, well, what's really happening in your eye when that's going on?
Right, because it's not like you're reflecting physical light off an object, dude.
Exactly.
It's a subtle energetic
Oh.
experience,
Right.
I
And
guess.
when you have an experience, more than likely you are in the dark
Right.
95% of the time. So is this stuff coming through your eye, or is it already in your eye and your brain is choosing to perceive it? Or is it some sense that you're perceiving?
Yo, it's weird. Somebody, person who's covering the stuff with us for the science aspect. She's in the chat right now, and she said, "Floaters usually originate within the vitreous chamber."
Okay, so it's in
That's
the
kind of like
fluid.
that. Yeah, so it's in the fluid. But the interesting thing about that, so I'm thinking of floaters, and it's like when you start putting those veins into that part of the eye, it kind of looks like a tree.
Yeah.
It's like, is that like a leaf that fell off?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, a
Yep.
fucking floating leaf. Fucking
Yeah. So
vitreous.
I don't know. I thought I'd throw that out there. I've been meaning to like say something to you about it, and I was like, I better say something before I forget. And then, but
Yeah, is it like something about the actual eyeball that's
Yeah, I've
in
never thought of
the
it like that.
nature of
Thought
experience or perception?
I've always looked at it as like maybe it was like a vibrational change, like here, but like I mean, it could be a combination of a bunch of things. But I never thought of it like something inside me perceiving that.
mhm.
Because while we're on this topic with the eye, actually, because there's a lot of like a symbolism with like, you know, like the left eye versus the right eye, you know, the eye of Horus, all these celebrities covering up their eyes, and they got the black eyes or whatever. And there's multiple theories. Like one of them, I don't know if you've heard of Donald Marshall. He's
No, did somebody
he's
mention
a semi-popular conspiracy theorist out there who, like, he has all these theories talking about these celebrities being like clones and having these like vril parasites, like these parasitic worms implanted in through their left eye, and that's why there's all this left eye symbolism, and they're
what
covering
the
up, and it's like it's really weird. It's out there. I
It's like
don't
some
really,
Prometheus shit when the
yeah.
little fucking worm came out of his eyeball in the fucking movie Prometheus.
Ugh.
But the
Yeah.
thing about the eye, like I was having weird shit happen to my left eye, and I've actually always had like weakness on my left side, I guess, and like my left eye was always weaker. I had to wear like a patch. I guess it's like a bit lazy.
That's where Left Eye got her name from.
And then the left eye of Horus is like, yeah, the eye of Horus is the left eye. That's the one that Set gouged out. And there's all there's these other mythologies of these like gods
See
and
again, like now.
stabbed through the eye.
See now, I think you said that he Set gouged it out, right? I could see in a way Set because he was associated with darkness. We're talking about eyeball stuff again. He just gouged out your pupil and made it bigger.
Ah, yeah.
You look at it like that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, because it opened it up to the darkness and the expansion. Yeah, no, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah.
All right, sorry about all this. We'll go back to the numbers now. Hijacking. I'm hijacking your show. Sorry.
No, I love it. I love it, Matt. No, because actually, while we're talking about this, the eyeball mythology ties into Cain actually here because we got Cain and Cthulhu, Saturn, Dagon related to this idea of like this father agriculture god reigning over this golden era. And Cain, he uh, he was an agriculturalist, however you say it. He was a farmer. So like he has all these connections to Saturn, you know.
That's interesting. Didn't Hitler use kind of like people that had that type of background? They're very big into
Probably, yeah.
botany, and I think actually like
Yeah.
agriculture and shit.
Hmm.
Like a lot of his magicians were kind of like into that.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I think I've heard something about that. But yeah, Kane was. There's a story that Kane was killed in a hunting accident and was shot with an arrow through his left eye by his son, who his son mistaked him for like a wild horned animal because Kane basically went into the forest and became the wild god Pan, essentially. And some people think the mark of Cain was a horn on his head. That's what one of the stories is. So I don't know. I thought, yeah, I guess that the eyeball shit comes back to that. And there's other stories of like gods being stabbed through the eye, and it's like this symbolic sacrifice. And I don't know. There's something deep to that there.
well, I mean, even the Book of the Law, you got fucking guys getting gouged out in the fucking last chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So. All right, so we'll get back to the numbers. I'm
Turn
sorry.
on the light in here.
Did we?
Yeah,
We already covered the one on the left already, right? Now we got the one on the right.
yeah.
I see 7-Eleven. I've often wondered. You said you have here Saturn with a Y, or you have a giant octopus. I've often wondered that about the store itself. I don't know if you guys have that wherever you are. A place called 7-Eleven. It's like a
Yeah.
convenience store, fucking huge in New York. I've often wondered, like, is that some type of like?
I think 7-Eleven is a big code. I think it's a powerful occult code. And actually, I didn't include anything on here in the slideshow, but I have some posts, and I'm going to do future posts talking about the 7-Eleven and the 117, because I think it's connected to the sacred fool code, like the Holy Grail code.
Hmm.
So have you heard of, Rennes-le-Chateau, where the Holy Grail mystery surrounds? Like, it's this place in France where the Templars took the Ark of the Covenant, supposedly, and then there's this church of Mary Magdalene there, and there's this mystery surrounding it with this priest who renovated it and put all this creepy satanic shit in it, and there's all these conspiracies around it, essentially. But on January 17th, which is 117, the light, it's like high noon, midday. The sun is at the perfect angle that it will shine through the stained glass and create this like holographic blue orbs in the middle of the church. And it's basically like these Stargate portals opening up, like DNA activations in people. I guess I don't really know exactly what goes on, but it's like this alignment, this resonance. Everything
Interesting
comes into coherence, and it's
Rosalind
like
Chapel. Is that what you're talking about? Rosalind Chapel?
No, it happens there too, actually. But the one I'm talking about is in Rennes-le-Chateau. It's the Church of Magdalene. But yeah, no, Rosalind Chapel is the other place where that happens, and it happens at Rosalind Chapel on the feast day of Mary Magdalene.
Oh, okay.
And there's this
That's where I'm trying to pull that from. That I guess I'm getting them kind of when you study all this stuff, it starts to all run together at some point.
It's a whole deep code, but the 117 is a sacred fool code because Jim Carrey, his birthday is January 17th. And well, what's Jim Carrey? He's the perfect example of the sacred fool archetype, right? He was a goofy jokester, funny dude turned wise man, hermit, yogi dude. You know what I mean? He's all weird now.
Yeah, I see what
Spiritual hippie now.
He definitely played the fool for a while.
Yeah, but he's wise. Yeah, he's a wise fool. But yeah, so actually, a funny story with the 7-Eleven or the 117 too. I had this whole thing going last summer with it and was having all these synchronicities, and then I made this post about the 117 being connected to the Holy Grail and Mary Magdalene, the Sacred Fool. And then literally the next day I go to work and my boss, first thing he says is, guys, we have to check bin 117. I was like, whoa, it's what now?
What?
So it's like at that point, I saw how it's like rippling through reality itself. It's these energetic currents, and these numbers are gateways, I guess. That's how I sort of see it. They're like
And then you're like,
informational, like nodal points in this hologram.
then you start thinking to yourself, which came first, the chicken or the egg? I think that all the time when I see the numbers, repeating them. There was a week one time where I seen every number 1 through 9 triples. That's how I see mine.
Really?
And so like there was a whole week where I seen every single one, and it was like in a row. It was crazy.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and like sometimes like the numbers have certain meanings to me, but also I feel like it means what it needs to mean in the moment too. Like it just sort of shows you're in alignment. And yeah, when you see the triple numbers or something, it's like crazy, and it's like how.
Yeah. And mine go through phases. Like right now, I'm seeing 222s a lot.
Really?
Yeah. Like next week, it'll be different.
Yeah.
It's different every week. What like patterns of numbers I'll see, but right now it's 222. It's been that way for a couple of weeks.
I've been big on the 322 lately, actually.
I had a lot of 4s and 7s when I went to Nashville.
47 has been huge with me too.
It was really fucking weird. Like a lot with like the flight and like the room numbers and stuff was all like matched.
Really?
7 room 74 something 4 something 7. I was like,
Really?
yeah. I was like, well, I'm sure I'll make it home in one piece since it looks like.
And you know,
it's just like the constant like same numbers. I'm like, I must.
47 is the Masonic compass number, right?
Masonic compass number 47.
47 is the angle of the Masonic compass.
That's what. Okay, yeah. I thought
and that's 23.5 times 2, which is the Earth's axial tilt. So you put it together for the full tilt. That's the Masonic compass.
So, wow. Okay.
So I guess connecting. That represents like this. Like I think the Masonic compass is like Polaris and the black sun, and then like this Earth Taurus in between, or like this flat Earth plane. I'm not a flat earther exactly, but I don't really know what I think yet.
No, that's pretty cool, man.
I'm still piecing it together, but I don't know. I don't know what I believe anymore. I'm just here to explore.
I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. The more I know, the more I realize how little I know, and
it's scary, huh?
Yeah.
It can get scary when it gets to that point, but it all comes full circle at one point or another. Just like the 23s just come full circle for me, and now I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Yo, I went through like I did like I'm gonna be doing like a 3-part series. It's probably like 6 hours just on like the eyeballs, and like I did not think it was gonna be anywhere like that crazy. And like we still like before we even did that, we already had stuff inside the brain and the ears as well. They were still going to point at, still matching occult symbolism and archetypes and stuff. And I'm like, I could just imagine how crazy that's going to be because, like, you know, we just lightly noticed a few things and was like, oh, there's something worth it there as well. I'm like, who knows what the fuck? Like, in my opinion, it's almost as if you're seeing the same things actually replicated in your eyes, your brain, and your ear almost.
That is so, yeah.
It's like almost like there's different stories for the same thing that's going. It's
all encoded in this central processing unit.
Yeah, it's very weird.
That's trippy. That is so cool.
Yeah,
how
like,
deep does it go?
Scarlet War, like I could say there's probably like maybe like 1 or 2 versions of her in your eye, but then when we get to the brain, there's ways that you can see the Scarlet Whore and the Beast in there as well. I think so.
That's
it's like you're seeing them in multi-leveled ways. I think throughout this whole shit. Okay. Which I mean, your eyeballs are just an extension of your brain anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
that is so cool to think about. Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of bugged out.
Yeah, I'll have to check out this series.
Thank you.
No, that sounds crazy, man. Fuck. Okay, I need to get some water soon, actually.
All right. Do you have any?
Yeah.
You want to just wrap it up here? Actually,
You
can always
want it?
just
Yeah,
talk about it
like
again. Yeah, this is
I
what
threw a
want.
bunch of slides because I wasn't sure how long we were gonna go and how quickly I'd run through it. So
No, yeah, this is fine. This is fine.
wherever you guys want to cut off, like
Real quick, just real quick. Does this pop out in your head? Because I am interested actually in this because we have seen a lot of 4s and 8s. But Thrash is asking 488. Does that pop up?
488.
Yeah. Can you think of that ever popping up for anything offhand, or a number that you've come across?
I mean, it doesn't specifically remind me of anything, but like
Okay, all right, I
the
figured I just
88s and the 44s have been big for me too. Like,
yeah, like that again. That's like 4 would be the prince, and 8 would no, 8 would be the prince, and 4 would be the king.
mm,
Like with numbers and on the Kabbalah and stuff like that. So like the prince and the king out of the Yod
mhm,
Hey Vod Hey formula. So like again, those are masculine numbers. Again, I was saying 4, 8, 2. I see a lot of that sometimes with like true crime, and I saw that with the Idaho
mhm.
4. I saw a lot of that with Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger when I
Oh
covered
yeah,
those movies. Jack the
oh yeah.
Ripper. So it's like a lot of like destructive killing energy seems
Hmm.
to come up with those numbers a lot.
I thought of one thing. So when I was doing a little bit of research, so they were saying that you have, like, they used to call it a midlife crisis between the age of 40 and 44, and they say that's when you have the biggest change and turning point in your life is between 40 and 44.
Really?
And that's true for me. Like, it completely, like, 180 my life.
Really?
As soon as I hit 40, and then 40 is an alchemical month, and then you have the 40 days in the Bible
Mm,
and all that stuff, right? So it seems to be like 40 has there's a lot of spiritual
The
connection
desert,
there
yeah,
too.
3 days
And
in
then
the
so 44, you have the 44. So 4 in numerology and tarot means foundations, stability, can represent the cube as well. And then you have, eights are like abundance. It's the infinity symbol, Taurus
mhm.
field. So 44 and 88, I mean, you put those together, or 488, or a combo of any of them, you're going to get like cubes, shape, and like geometry
Mhm.
when you think of it like that too. So it's a really stable number so that you can create and manifest from that into eights. So if you look at it like that, like just
Mhm.
regular numerology, that's,
Mhm.
from a more spiritual perspective on that, that's what I would say about those numbers.
Nice. Thank you. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up because I'd like I don't want him to have to go get a drink. We'll just end it here. Oh,
Cool.
real quick. I was thinking about it, and then I started paying attention, and I almost forgot. I did want to add something. You were talking about 40 and 4. Something that I thought was interesting. Uh, Again, going back to the eyeball, if you think of Chesed, that is the 4th sphere on the tree. That has to do with expansive energy. Jupiter, expansive energy.
Mm.
You have 4 milliliters of shit in your eyeball, pushing it and keeping it that size.
Wow.
Mm. So
Wow.
is that
That's what's
like
keeping the form, is what's in there.
Yeah.
You
And four
basically,
and four is 8. So yeah.
hmm. That's Atlas holding up the firmament?
Yep.
all right, so we'll leave it there now.
Hmm. Cool.
Yeah. Yo,
Cool.
that was an awesome chat, my man. I had a good time. That was just
That
some
was
weird
fun.
shit, and that's exactly what I wanted. I just wanted to be bugged out and weirded out with numbers and just weird
Oh yeah, man.
coincidences. Because like, just to get you to at least, like, even if you don't understand it, which I still don't, understand it that well. Uh, at least, like, if to me, at least entertain that there might be something there. You know what I'm saying? And when you show things like this, I think, like, even if it doesn't make sense, seeing so many things that kind of should go together, at least. May not understand why they go together, but they all kind of like hang out in that same area. Maybe something's up with that. Uh,
Hmm.
I thought that was very you did great, man. Thank you. That's exactly
Yeah.
what
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
thanks for entertaining the
my
eyeball
main
shit.
goal with this is just to show people a new perspective and maybe maybe help people see the world differently. I'm not trying to convince people to see it how I see it, but I mean, for me, this stuff has really helped me see the magic in the mundane. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Pierce the veil. That's what it's all about.
Very well said. Very well said. So, you want to plug your Instagram real quick?
You can find me at King Kthulhu, King underscore Kthulhu, spelled with a K on Instagram. And I post all sorts of decodes like this and memes and just whatever I feel like.
Yes.
And I also have a Facebook and I have a Spotify podcast called Sped Air. And we'll have the links for all that.
Yes, I'll have
And
the links for you after
yeah,
the show. Yeah, and just for letting people know, like his Instagram account, if I have people that are listening that are also fans, I do know I do have the same fans as Susan Mary Fine Art. I know I do have like a lot of people that are into her stuff, and I know I do have listeners that are into TJ stuff. His shit is like the same exact thing. So like the way that they put out their like multi-pictured things, he does the same thing. So go check out his shit. He definitely puts work into his gematria posts. It's very impressive. So just saying, if you're into those accounts and you don't know who he is, you'll definitely love his. So go check him out. And Megan, real quick, plug your stuff.
Yep. So Instagram, the number 7 degrees of wisdom, no underscores, no dashes, no numbers on the end. There are some accounts out there impersonating me right now. If you want to find me there on Instagram, yep. Facebook, it's Megan Allen, 7 degrees of wisdom, parentheses spelled out. If you guys want to get a hold of me for any of my services, I do consultations, tarot readings, classes, all kinds of things that I'm doing. So if you guys are interested in any of that stuff, just get a hold of me and we'll set up an appointment.
Awesome. And I will put your links. I think your links are in the bottom already anyway. So, yeah. Everybody, thank you very much for jumping in on the live. That's what's up. Thanks for the comments that I repeated. Thanks for some of the info. I appreciate the questions as well. That's why I try to do this. I knew that I'd probably be able to man the chat a little bit more on this episode, so that's why I tried to do that. And I appreciate people making it worth it. That's what's up. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.